Well, this morning it's known as Q&A rather than Q&A after the shoe-throwing incident last night on ABC One's Q&A program, where John Howard was the only guest there taking questions from the audience around the release of his new memoirs, his autobiography. Now, Peter Gray is the man who asked a question of John Howard and also threw his shoes at him on Q&A last night. He joins me on the phone now from the Hunter Valley. Peter Gray, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Did you go to Q&A intending to chuck your shoes at John Howard?
Look, the thought had crossed my mind, but I think, look, if John Howard had really given an adequate response to the question that I put to him, then I don't think it would have been necessary.
So you think that throwing your shoes at him was necessary?
I certainly believe, that it was necessary.
Why?
Why? Because John Howard led this country into a war which resulted in the deaths of over 60,000 civilians. Those are just the ones that have been recorded by the American military. He has never been held accountable for that. I certainly don't call it accountable to simply for him to lose his seat and then sit on a government pension for many years. As I said on the show last night, I believe that he should be arraigned before the International Criminal Court and charged with war crimes.
So you went there with that in mind. Of course, as part of the briefing before Q&A audiences go in, you're asked to be civil, not to shout out. It's just not that kind of event. But those requests didn't mean much to you?
They certainly did mean much to me, and if I have any regrets about the incident, it's the distress that I caused Tony Jones or the team at Q&A. I think Q&A is a fantastic program, and I do have some regrets about that, but I still think that it was worth it, if you want to put it like that.
You think it was worth it?
Certainly, I think it was worth it. Yeah, those are the same words that Madeleine Albright, former US Secretary of State, used when discussing the deaths of children in Iraq from the first Iraq War. She thought the price was worth it. I think the price was worth it in this case.
Did you plan to hit him?
I planned to throw my shoes at John Howard. I didn't plan to hurt him. I planned to insult him, and I think I succeeded in that. You
weren't a terribly good shot.
I challenge you to have a better go.
No, that's something I definitely would not engage in. But I am wondering if it was just a gesture that you wanted to make or if you actually planned to make contact.
Look, I threw my shoes at John Howard because the throwing shoes has a particular resonance for all the people of the Middle East, which is the reason that the Iraqi journalist quite some time ago now threw shoes at George W. Bush. I made my protest last night in the main part to show the people of Iraq that not all Australians were behind the invasion of Iraq. In fact, the majority of Australians, we should all remember, were opposed to the invasion. And I really wanted those millions of people in the Arab world to see and know that Australians are not all committed to waging war on their country.
But Peter Gray, how does your gesture advance the argument?
I certainly wouldn't be having this conversation with you now and be talking about the war in Iraq, the deaths in Iraq, and John Howard's accountability for those deaths if I hadn't thrown those shoes. I think that speaks for itself.
So it was a pretty carefully planned media stunt then?
Look, if people can put whatever spin on it they want. What I'd really like people talking about is the war in Iraq and John Howard's responsibility for it.
Okay.
And the civilian deaths.
Can I just ask you this? It came to my attention this morning when I was watching a replay of it that as part of the broadcast, someone from the general television audience tweeted, "Someone throw a shoe at this man, now." Is that something that you saw when you were in the audience as part of the broadcast?
No, you can't actually see any of the tweets while you're in the audience, no.
Okay. Peter Gray, where do you come from? What's your background and what's led you to this point in your life?
I'm an Australian citizen. I live in Newcastle. I've been vehemently opposed to both the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan from the beginning. 7 years ago, I was very upset with John Howard when he took it upon himself to launch our country into that war. At the time, you might remember, he said, "If you've got a beef with me, then you can take it up with me." I spent a good long time in heated conversation with his staff members at respect that time because, of course, no citizen has a real way of taking their beef up with the Prime Minister, as he put it. I certainly think John Howard should be held accountable for his crimes.
Well, Peter Gray, just finally this morning, is there anyone that you think this morning to whom you owe an apology?
I think I owe an apology to Tony Jones and the team at Q&A. I'm sorry for any distress I caused them.
Okay, good to talk to you. Thanks so much.